Most startups do not fail because they have bad ideas. No, they fail because of something that is way more deadlier than anything you could ever imagine. And if you're just starting a business right now, you're either in it, about to enter it, or you're trying to escape it. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can get to break out of it so that you don't become another statistic. And with that being said, let's dive in. So the thing that gets to kill off most startups is called the startup valley of death. So what this is the most dangerous stage where your expenses as the founder gets to exceed the income revenue or the revenue that you get to make. And this comes about because 1, you get to spend more on developing your products. 2, you get to spend more on building your team. Sometimes you spend on marketing. Sometimes you spend on softwares, like you make a lot of expenses that get to consume most of your money. But the money that gets to come in doesn't even get to cover for each and everything that you spend on. So if you can't get to survive at this stage of the business, then your startup as a founder is going to fail before it even gets to take off. So you might be there asking, how does this even get to affect the kind of business that I get to run? Well, if that's you, then let me just give you a few things that I think if you don't get to survive this stage are going to happen to your business, or that tend to be the main reason as why your business gets to fail. And 1, cash is always going to burn out. Let me explain this. The fact that you're always going to be spending on bills, that is bills of your team, bills of your expenses that get to come in, that is electricity, water, and every other bills that get to come as a result of you running your businesses, it is going to lead to costs piling up. And with more costs that get to pile up is the more cash you get to spend. And with the more cash you get to spend is the more burnout that you're going to experience. And as time goes on, when time comes when you cannot meet the costs that are in the expenses or that are in the business, then you're going to shut down. 2, this is the most dangerous stage because there is high level of uncertainty. And this comes about as a reason of you not being sure of whether even clients are going to come in. So you start up something, keep the expenses high and cost high without you being so certain that, oh, maybe client A will come, maybe client B will come. So you're operating on uncertainty. And then 3, there is always too much pressure at this level of the stage. So this form of pressure is always going to come up as a result of you having to face lots of people. First of all, from the investors, that is if you had many people that were investing in you. 2, you're going to have pressure from friends and even family. And lastly, that pressure might come up from like partners. Yeah. So for instance, let's say you just started up a startup between 2 people and you're taking all the baggage of, trying to do the marketing, trying to do the sales, or like trying to grow your startup from ground. And if you're not so careful, the pressure is going to mount up to you because your fellow partners who are putting money in you are going to start asking so much questions. And with the so much questions that we get to ask, it's the pressure or it's the amount of pressure that you're going to have as a person. And that will lead you to burnout, hence making you lose interest, thus making your startup fail. And then lastly, the very extreme point that makes most people lose out because of this stage is there's a lot of mental stress. And this is the point where most of the founders get to lose it because their mental capacity fails to contain the pressure, the burnout, the bills, there's so many questions that get to be asked. And at the end of it, they just lose it and shut the business down. Now, with knowing how this gets to lead you to shut down your business, how do you even get to survive this stage of the business? Or how do you even get to survive the startup valley of death? Well, there are certain few things that you need to do here. 1, you've got to keep your costs so lean. So this is what I get to mean when I say keep your costs so lean. Do not overspend on fancy offices and big teams because the more you spend on fancy teams, fancy offices, you're going to just keep your costs piling up so high because the cost of maintenance, the cost of salaries that are going to come as a result of you trying to pay off these guys who are doing the work for you is going to be high. So in order for you to do that, you have to keep your costs lean. Have a small office, even homes are better for that, or just sub-rent a small unit and then get to run from there. And you don't even need a big team. Perhaps you need 1 or 2 people to help you do everything from ground up until when you get up. And with a new thing of AI coming in, well, it even makes more sense that you get to cut on the number of people that you get to have. The second thing you need to do is you have to launch fast. Forget the idea of trying to build products like multiple products for your brand. Just focus on what your clients would want to pay for first. And when you get that, then focus on that. Dish out the distractions, because it is the distraction that gets to kill most businesses. Yeah. So focus on what your clients are going to pay for first. And when you do that, you will ensure that there is at least more money that will come in, so that you cut down on the expenses that you get to face as a founder. And when that does happen, then just know, you rest assured that you are going to run for quite a long time. 3, try to get some early revenue. And there are so many various ways you can do that. For one, I would think of pre-orders. Yeah. So let's assume you're a startup that deals in selling like mouses. Okay. So what you get to do is get people to buy on pre-orders. Yeah. Like whoever needs to buy a mouse from you, they get to pay before you even get to produce them. Yeah. So when you get to do this, it is going to ensure that there is more money at your exposure to mass produce things that clients want before, without even you trying to spend a lot of money, or without you even trying to invest in a lot of money. Okay. Then the other way is that you can try to earn in more money by offering consultation. Because you're trying to do this that you love, or you're trying to start up something that you want, there are people who would want to do the same thing. So as a result, you can try to make them pay for the consultation of the service you're trying to produce or provide. And when they do that, you ensure that at least there is more money coming in that is going to balance out the expenses, so that your expenses are somewhat equal to the revenue that is coming in. And that way, you're going to ensure that you at least get to have or buy yourself extra time into the business until when it kicks off. And then lastly, get to manage your cash like your life depends on it. Trust me, it's indeed true that your life gets to depend on it. Any slight mistake that you get to make, it's going to hike up the costs or the expenses that you get to make in the business. And that way, your revenue that is going to come in, because you're spending money like as if your life doesn't depend on it, they're going to be so low. And what does get to happen is you end up losing out and your startup failing. So be wise enough to spend your money like as if your life depends on it. When you get to follow all the steps I've given you, you'll be rest assured of the quality, or you'll be rest assured of surviving this startup valley of death. And with that being done, your service or your startup will be profitable. Every successful startup that you can think of Amazon, think of Tesla, think of Apple, they went through this valley of death. The only difference there is that they managed to survive. So when you get to follow all the things I've given you, you will also be at the level where these companies are, where Apple is, where Amazon is, where Tesla is. All you need to do is put in practice the 4 things I've given you for you to survive this stage, and then your startup will always be or emerge to be something great, or something that will be a competitor to one of these. So in the comment section, let me know, are you in the valley of death right now, or did you cross it?